Season 1, Episode 2 of the Expediting Change podcast. Thank you for coming back and checking in with me. So I told you we're going to talk about financial education, not just financial literacy, and it's completely different. Being financially literate is cool, but financial education is theory and practice. Remember, we want to get these jewels and these gems and learn this information, but Expediting Change is about what are you going to do with it? Knowledge without power is bullshit. I think I changed that quote, but I like what I just changed it into. So today's guest is going to talk to you about practical application in the stock market and how to build your wealth. But remember, it's also tax season, so he might sneak in some jewels about what you need to do for your taxes. So make sure you listen in and check us out for Episode 2, Season 1, Expediting Change podcast. Let's go.
It's just me. As I open my mind and try to reach yours, ask myself, why is it you really want to preach, boy?
So what's up, Jess? How you, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's February. We're in the middle of the tax season, and I'm just happy to be here. Just thank you for having me on the second episode of Expediting Change. I really appreciate it, my guy.
Absolutely. So, on Expediting Change, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to push the limit. So, I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to get right to it.
No doubt.
And then at the end, we're going to talk about what are you doing to expedite change. But first, why don't you give them an opportunity? Take the time right now to introduce yourself. Tell them what you do, the who, what, when, where, and why.
Got you. Yeah, so my name is Justin Devose. I'm originally from Philadelphia, PA. I'm the director of financial education for Equity Now. My passion is financial education, and I came from a place, Vanguard, that I worked for 12 years as an investment advisor, right? So I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've worked with families who had generational wealth, multi-generational wealth, and being able to listen and understand how wealth is not only created, but grown and preserved. Just kind of gave me a different outlook on life, especially for our Black and Brown communities, and how I can take that knowledge that I learned during my experience at Vanguard and be able to teach people that look like me, right? My kids and, my families, and be able to say, hey, listen, here's what we can do with the resources that we have. So I'm all about, again, not just learning about financial concepts, but actually taking the steps to apply what you learn. And that's the difference between financial literacy and financial education. You can know a lot, but if you're not taking the action to actually do it, then what's the point?
Agreed.
So I'm here today to talk about investing in the stock market. And again, what works for me may not work for all, but I think the stock market in and of itself is a tool that everyone can use to build their wealth. So I'm excited about today, man.
So let's jump into that, because you said some key things that I want to tease out that people understand.
Yeah.
You said wealth building and helping individuals with generational wealth. So talk to me about that. Give me some numbers. Obviously, you can't give me the clients, but talk to me about the money, the numbers that you were helping individuals move, like the units. How much?
Man, we're talking 20 plus million and up. When you think about some of my clients, I was working with, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, people that have accumulated money throughout their whole life. Now they're sitting on this portfolio, and this is just stock market investment. This doesn't include real estate. This doesn't include art collections or cars. This is just money invested in the stock market. And they're sitting on $80 million. They have wills. They have trusts all set up, but they still wanted to have their families be a part of the conversation.
That's right, generational wealth.
Exactly, and that's why it's important, because if their families don't know what it took to get to that point and what it takes even more so to not only preserve it, but to also grow it across generations, right? So we're having these conversations about cost basis and who's going to get this and who's going to get that, right? But families understood that what's been done, they have to continue on that journey.
That's right.
Right? So they take the knowledge that they learn from such a young age just by watching their dad buy them their first stock.
So let's start there. So $80 million. You folks hear $80 million. You like, if I start in the stock market right now, I'm not going to get $80 million, right? But I want to give the folks the magnitude of what can happen over generations. Yeah. You may not be the first person to hit ADM. So doing this investment thing is changing legacy. You might hit 500,000, you might hit $1 million, but your children's might hit that 80 million. So let's go all the way back, right? Because they had to start somewhere.
Yes.
So the question that I get all of the time, well, Shomari, you in depth, you've been doing this for years. How do I get started? Like if you had, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask you, say 3 words on how do I get started? And then I'm gonna let you elaborate.
Sure.
But if somebody left with just 3 words when they ask, how do I get started? What's just those 3 words?
Wow, how do I get started? Open an account.
I love it right now. You know what I mean? See, this is expediting change. Open an account. So if you leave with nothing else from this podcast,
Absolutely.
Open an account. All right, so I'm not gonna not let my man talk and elaborate on that. So talk to me about how we get started.
So I think, people have this thing where it's paralysis by analysis, right? So they're trying to figure out what's the best way to get in, right? You can't get in if you don't actually open an account. So you're sitting there thinking about what stocks to buy. That's all well and good, right? But the number one thing you have to do is open an investment account. Now that can be, a 401k or 403b through your employer, right? That can be a self-directed IRA. And then it could also be an individual brokerage account, right? So the first step is to open an account. And again, you got spots like Vanguard, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Stockpile, whomever, right? You just got to kind of find the right brokerage firm that works best for you.
Yeah.
Once you open that account, you don't necessarily have to fund it right away.
Okay.
Right? It gives you a little bit more time to come together with a plan, right, of your investment strategy, what's best for you and your financial goals.
And what you mean funded? What does that mean? What is funded?
Funded means just putting money into the account,
Yep.
right, from your checking or savings account, and then investing that money into a security like a stock or ETF or a mutual fund.
So if I take the money out of my bank account and then I put it in the brokerage account that you asked me to open, so that means I funded it.
You funded it.
But now it's in that account. Can I lose money while it's just being funded while it's in that account?
That's a great question. No, you can't actually lose money because it's sitting inside of what we call like a money market sweep account.
Okay.
Right. So that money market fund is a holding spot.
Okay.
For those dollars. So it's meant to maintain stability.
Okay.
And maintain a share price of $1. So it's not going to go up. It's not going to go down. It's meant just to hold your money.
So then what's the purpose of me just putting my money in there if it's just going to sit there before I buy? Like, why don't I just, when I'm ready to buy the stock, just move the money over?
See, that's where it gets a little tricky, right? Because if that money is not in your account and it's sitting in your checking account, you're more liable to spend it.
Okay.
Right? Getting that money out of from where you typically do your daily financial operations and putting inside of a place where is earmarked specifically for investing, that's where it needs to be. Because that's going to be a reminder, oh my goodness, I still have this money sitting here. I need to do something with it. Okay. So, what I would say is if you have a goal of investing $1,000 a month, put it into that account, whatever one you want to do, IRA, self-directed brokerage account. And even if you're not ready to pull the trigger, that's okay.
Okay, but the money is there waiting for me, ready to go when I'm ready to rock.
Exactly.
So me, I'm not certified. I didn't work for Vanguard, but my advice is always make sure you buy what you already using.
Exactly.
So we're gonna shift this to how do I decide now that I've funded my account, what do I buy, Justin?
Man, I'm gonna tell you a quick funny story. I also teach kids at Legends Charter School, right? So this is full-fledged a passion of mine. When we were talking about first investing in a stock market, right? So what we did was we created homeroom names based off of stocks, based off of companies. Yep. So one homeroom, Microsoft last year, I said, you know what? Before we even get started in the school year, do a scavenger hunt in your house, right? Take a list, write down every product and service that you use, and then come back to me and let's discuss it. So they came back, they said, oh, I use Tide, which is made by Procter & Gamble. I use Microsoft, or I got an Xbox at home. I'm using Microsoft, right? I listen to iTunes, so now that's Apple. So you got a list.
Oh, y'all got Apple, iPhones, tablet. I'm a Droid user, Samsung all day, but all y'all
and you search
Apple.
on Google.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So all of these products and services that you use on a daily basis can actually help you build wealth. Right? So what I would say is make a list of everything that you love to buy, that you love to use, right? Go to their website. Look at their investor relations page, right? See how they're making money. That's a good way to start because now you're probably going to have about 10 to 15 companies that you've already been using for most of your life that you did not know can actually help you build a wealth through the stock market.
Absolutely. So that is essentially what you're calling research.
Exactly.
That's my research. So if I type it into Google, all this different information is going to come up. So are there any trusted sources that you take a look at? Because I see Motley Fool, I see Yahoo Finance, I see Google.
Yeah.
What should I trust? What's a trusted source?
So I'm glad you're saying that because there's so much information out there, right? And you can't trust everything that's put out on the internet, right? So what I like to use is I like to use Yahoo Finance.
Okay.
I like to use Morningstar, Google, which is also awesome. And then also a good place to start is going back again to that company's website because they'll talk about research and development. They'll talk about profits. They'll talk about losses. So Yahoo Finance, Morningstar, CNBC, there's so many out there, but again, I would start with at least those three. You don't want to overburden yourself.
And in lamest terms, I'm not going to force you into the three words again. You killed it the first time, with the three words. But in lamest terms, because I get this question all the time, what would you tell the people research equals? In lamest terms, if you had just a couple things to select to take a look at.
I would say research equals education.
Okay.
Without research, you're not going to have a baseline of making a decision, right? You're just going to be going into the fray unequipped, right? The more research you have on a particular investment, the better equipped you are with making that decision. And it takes the emotion out of it.
Absolutely.
Because you're not guessing, you're not gambling, right? You know, people say, well, investing in stocks is gambling. No, it isn't. Going to Vegas, going to Atlantic City and betting on Sunday, that's gambling.
Absolutely.
Right? Research equals knowledge, equals education. The more research you have to support your cause, your goal, your claim, the better off you're going to be because now it's founded, right? You can go now. The one thing I will say, past performance doesn't predict future performance.
Absolutely.
But that past performance does help give you an indication of what that company has been doing and where they're looking to grow.
Absolutely.
Right? So the more knowledge you have behind research, the better off you're going to be.
So let me ask you this because I'm biased.
Yeah.
And I'm biased because I'm a long-term investor.
Yes.
I believe in buying, compound, holding, splits, and getting the bag over long periods of time, no matter what that long period of time is for you.
Yeah.
And one of the things I say, one of my golden rules is I buy what I use, and I also do a gut check for my morality. I try my best not to invest in any companies that have anything to do with tobacco because my father died of lung cancer.
Sure.
So I juxtapose those rules for myself, and that's how I buy. But nowadays you hear, which I'm not knocking at all whatsoever, you got crypto, you got NFTs, you got real fast money, and options has become extremely popular. I'm not dogging or knocking any of that by any stretch of the imagination because there's multiple vehicles to get to the bag. But just talk to me about the differences and your thoughts on long-term investing versus all these other options. You don't have to go into in depth about crypto versus or Forex versus long-term investing, but compounding versus these other forms. So when I look at compounding, right? Compounding has to do with time. You know what I'm saying? You're really going to reap the benefit of compounding the longer you stay within an investment. I think there's so much information out there. We're in a new modern age, digital age, information age. Everyone has access now. Right? There's access to all different types of investments. But every investment isn't right for everyone. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And again,
what you eat don't make me poop.
Exactly, right? So, if you're not doing a research on crypto and NFT and you're jumping in blindly, well, guess what? You're going to lose money.
Absolutely.
Right? We've seen it happen with AMC. We've seen it happen with GameStop, right? Those quick shots to the moon and then it crashed, right? People lost their life savings. People killed themselves because they put all their money in particularly one basket.
Which also hurt the stock game because now any investors that decided to jump into it based off those situations specifically, they then said, well, the stock game sucks.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But go ahead.
Exactly. So, because of that one decision, now you say, well, the stock market isn't for me. What I say, and again, I'm going to be 100% transparent. I'm a long-term investor, and that comes because I worked at Vanguard.
No doubt.
Right? So when people say you drink the Kool-Aid, yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid, but I was also drinking the Kool-Aid from one of the most successful investors
Absolutely.
ever.
It was
Jack
proven.
Bogle. It
You've
was
seen
proven.
it. You've
right?
seen it.
I've seen it. I've seen it in my clients' accounts.
Yep.
I've seen it with, people that I knew. So I said, you know what? Let me try this, right? Let me invest in companies that I know. Now, I'm going to say this again, too. When people are trying to make a way where everyone's trying to get money fast, and that's where people go wrong.
No,
You know what I'm saying? Trying to get money fast is a losing strategy. A solid game plan of investing in companies that you know. You hit on a point in regards to morality, right? There are investments out there that don't invest in tobacco, that don't invest in prison systems, right? So you really have to take a deep look within yourself and say, what investments are going to fit my morals, my values, my time horizon, my financial goals? Everything is not for everybody. So if you want to invest in all tech, I would advise that you don't, because again, that industry, if it tanks,
Right.
you asked out.
Right.
So you really got to have an understanding of there are different industries, and all those industries we use on a daily basis.
So don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you want overall success in the stock market, do not put all your eggs in one basket.
No doubt. And I'm honestly, which Justin, he pokes me and gets on me all the time, hit me in the gut. I'm a single stock exposure kind of dude. But how I spread it without having all my eggs in one basket, even though I go single stock exposure, I go many different types of stocks. I'll have Amazon, or then I'll go into Corning, or then I'll go into Facebook. So I mix mine up. But we also want to get deep and get into this, just like, let's keep it a stack. There's a large spectrum when you start talking about income. There's individuals who, you know what I mean? They out here struggling. There's folks out here struggling, and we understand that. And then there's individuals who, they just got it. They can pull 30, 40, 50, 60, 100K and drop it on some stock.
Exactly.
One thing that I talk about is paying yourself first.
Exactly.
So I'm just interested in hearing your commentary for someone. If I pull $5, $10, $15, $20 out of my stock, that might be out of my groceries. That might be out of my rent. That might be out of something. So talk to me about how do we work that? So what is your advice for those individuals?
Yeah, see, this is a hard one because, every individual circumstance is different, right? So I don't know John's circumstance compared to Mary's circumstance, right? So, but paying yourself first, right? We look at our expenses, our cash flow, and we say, I got to pay bills. I got to pay rent. By the time you do all those things, there's nothing left over for you, right? There's nothing left over for your children.
That's right.
In terms of investments. So what I would say to that is, really take a deep look into what you're bringing in versus what's going out.
No doubt.
And find ways where you can make reductions or cuts.
No doubt.
Right? Do you really need, and people say, well, I want to live life, but when you count up all the subscription services that you have, right? When you count up, now I know inflation is high, right? We're at, 7% inflation, right? But do you need to be eating steak?
No doubt.
Every single week?
Or the kind of steak. You ain't got to eat filet mignon,
right?
There's a center cut.
Yes, exactly. But also like Uber Eats, right?
No
you know how they tax you $20 for a delivery fee?
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So there's things we can do to find money elsewhere.
Yep.
Treat yourself as an expense. And what I mean by that
treat yourself as an expense.
Exactly. We think about paying our expenses first, right? That's how we kind of grew up.
Yeah.
Because we got to keep food on the table. That's an expense. You got to keep a roof over your head. That's an expense.
Yep.
You got to keep clothes on your back. That's an expense.
Yep.
But no one's saying, you know what? I need to pay myself first.
Yep.
To make sure that I'm good. Even if I don't end up being a multi-millionaire.
Yep.
What I'm doing is I'm giving myself the opportunity to build wealth, but also being able to not only transfer it to my children, but to lead by example so that they can see the power of investing and the power of wealth building.
Very good point. And I'm going to keep it a stack and not obviously name any names, but folks call me and they say, Mari, I want to invest, but it's going to cost X amount of dollars. But it's the same folks I see in the club. It's the same folks that I see with the new designer belt, bag, hat, etc. If you really want to do this, even if it's the long game, don't buy that Gucci belt. Buy a Kenneth Cole belt.
You could do it.
Buy a Perry Ellis belt. Yeah. You don't have to do it. My mom used to say to me jokingly, but it was probably serious at the time for sure. Shout out to my mom again on the podcast. champagne tastes and beer pockets.
Exactly.
And that was definitely the case for me, man. Hearing Kanye, man, what he say in the song? How faked it until I got it. Yeah, listen, when I was young, I wanted all of the brand names, but you know what I had to figure out? Maybe I got to get it from Marshalls. Maybe I got to get it from TJ Maxx.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
don't nobody necessarily know. And then you get to the point where you got enough money to buy it, and then you don't even go get it.
Exactly.
You don't even go get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one thing, and it feels so good to be in a position where I can afford designer brand.
Yeah.
But I don't have to. I don't rock it.
Yeah, I mean...
Give me my paradise. You know what I mean?
For real. Like,
give me my paradise.
This
I'm good. I ain't got to buy Gucci.
For me, this is the new Ralph Lauren.
No doubt. I love
paradise.
it.
So,
I love it.
But when I think about what you're saying is, you know, we have this notion of keeping up with the Joneses.
No doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
What that man is doing over there, you don't know how he got that.
That's right.
Right? So I can't be looking at him
no doubt.
and saying, you know what, I got to keep up with him. I got to buy the new range. I got to buy this. Now you broke.
No doubt.
Now you broke because now you got all these liabilities that you're responsible for paying for.
No doubt.
Instead of banging with the 95, Toyota Camry that got 150,000 miles on it, but it's paid off.
No doubt.
So now you got that cash flow that's increased because you're not paying the car note.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's also changing the mindset, changing the way how people think. It's just been, again, generationally over the years, just been ingrained. We keep going in this cycle. But I think people are now figuring out that we can jump off the hamster wheel.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? That we can open up the gate and find a better way to make sure that I'm financially secure. My kids are financially secure, right? Making sacrifices. I think that's really, really important. Maybe you can't go on that vacation every year. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can't lease a car every 3 years. That's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe, you want to go buy this house, but it's not where you are.
And underscore that with doing that sacrifice for the purpose of what?
For the purpose of financial freedom, financial security. So even if that means taking a few years out of your life and say, I got to go hard in the paint to make sure that I'm set for the rest of my future.
Absolutely.
That's really, really important.
Absolutely.
You got to have those actionable steps. And it's going to hurt.
Absolutely.
It's going to suck. But if you don't do it, it's going to suck even more when, and I hate to say this, when you got to have a fish fry to pay for a funeral.
Oh.
Because you don't have any assets to support that.
No doubt. And then you leaving it on the individuals who you shouldn't be leaving it on to take care of what you didn't take care of. Now, as we shift, because that was phenomenal. Don't go over the heads. We're not gonna go over your heads, but any quick tips for anybody investing in the market, money management, et cetera, because it's tax time right now. Because what I say all the time is if the government is giving me a fat refund check, I'm doing something wrong because that means they held my money and earned interest on my money that I could have been investing myself. So I want to break even, which I haven't done in a really long time because you know what I mean? The IRS gets a bag from me.
Sure.
So give me some keys, give me some jewels, man.
I mean, everyone look forward to that refund check.
Which
is like, okay, what you gonna do with that though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would say, you need to take inventory of your finances at least monthly.
Okay.
Once you start to get towards the end of the year, gather all your financial documents.
Okay.
Right? Look at your budget. When those W-2s start to come in, look at, what's being withheld. At your job currently right now, if you're working, see how much is being withheld. Are you in line with where your income is? You know what I'm saying? Are you contributing to a 401k?
And when you say withheld, explain withheld. What's withheld?
Withheld basically means the government is taking taxes out of your paycheck. So
that's right.
SSI, FICA, all that, right? Wage tax.
So look at your statement. I know folks don't really get paper checks anymore. They get direct deposit, but you still need to look at that statement.
You got access to it. It's online, right?
Absolutely.
So there's no excuse for you not to be in the know. Again, it goes back to knowing what your situation is. The more you know, the more powerful you can be when you're making decisions. Taxes is huge because, again, people are looking at these income taxes, refunds that are coming in, these child tax credits that are coming in. But what are you doing with that?
No doubt.
Right? Are you spending that on liabilities or are you investing that money? Now, everyone doesn't have access to a CPA. I'm not a CPA by any stretch of the means, so I'm not giving you no tax advice.
Definitely not a CPA.
Definitely not a CPA.
But you can find them online.
Exactly. Right. There are resources online. You can find them by state. You can find them by your locality.
Yeah.
And a lot of these CPAs aren't charging much.
Yeah.
And some of them are doing it for free to serve the community.
Absolutely.
Right. So there are definitely resources out there. You just got to have the want to find out more about it.
Excellent. So look, man, you are a wealth of knowledge, but as I started is how I finish, man. Not letting you off the hook. This podcast is Expediting Change, so we need theory and practice.
Yep.
So every single one of my guests, when they come spit knowledge and, man, open an account is fire. But now it's time to challenge Justin. And what's really good? What you doing? What are you doing that's practical to expedite change? Because there's a lot of people that do a lot of talking, and I'm not saying you, but a lot of people that do a lot of talking, especially in these days and ages, hating on capitalism, relying on politics, putting up, marching. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't go to the polls and that the democratic process is bad, but this podcast is specifically about what are you doing right now to create change because people can't wait.
Exactly. So what I'm doing right now is I'm starting with the kids.
Okay.
Right. So at Legends Charter School, I'm the director of financial education.
Okay.
Right. So I'm seeing these kids on a daily basis and giving them the tools that they need to be financially well and successful. They may not see it now, but they will.
Okay.
You'll be surprised what children can soak up and learn and be able to apply when it comes to money. Money is a part of our lives every single day, right? I look at money when we were in school, we didn't have financial literacy classes.
No doubt.
Right? We had to learn it our way.
No doubt.
So financial education is more than just telling you what it is. It's also giving them the tools and helping them to apply it.
No doubt.
Right? So through in-classroom teaching, right? Through virtual workshops and in-person seminars. That's what I'm doing to create change.
That's fire.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not just out here just saying, okay, do this, do this, do this. I'm saying I want to get with the community.
In the class.
Can't
get no closer to rubber meets the road.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Right? I have access to community members, to parents. Mr. Devose, I need some help.
Yeah.
Can I talk to you for a second? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't turn anybody away.
Yeah.
I'm not the expert on everything.
Yeah.
But what I will say, you know what? If you're talking about real estate, I got somebody who can talk to you about that.
Dope.
Right? If you need insurance, listen, let me hook you up with my man DeCarlo.
No doubt. No doubt. Shout out.
Shout out to DeCarlo Harrison, right? So it's just being a source of knowledge, but also knowing when to take a step back.
No doubt.
And say, you know what? This is a collective.
Yeah.
This is a community.
Yeah.
And it's a community of educators.
Yeah.
Not just, I would say, preachers.
Okay.
A lot of people can preach.
Yeah.
But there are, when I remember being in church, and I'm just going to quickly say this.
No doubt.
Is that I had an uncle who's a very boisterous preacher, right? Very boisterous. But he took the time to then educate us on just general life, right? Being around his kids, being around his nephews, being around, my neighborhood friends. So being able to come from down here and then come down here and say, listen, I'm in this with you.
Rubber meets the road.
Let me teach you the way.
No doubt.
And this is what I'm trying to do.
That's fact. So that's dope. So what gets measured makes progress.
Absolutely.
So tell me, you got to give me like numbers, et cetera, but just your vision, just your path forward. Talk to me about outcomes. What's your if you had top two, what's your top two outcomes from everything you just explained? What gets measured makes progress that you want to see that's tangible. What's your outcome?
Wow. Right now, I got 700 students in my financial education program. I want every single one of them to have an investment account.
That's fire.
Whether it's individual brokerage, like a UTMA. We'll get into that at a different session. Whether it's a self-directed minor Roth IRA or 529 plan, whatever those goals are. I want every single kid to have an investment account and to understand that the products and services we use, the companies we use on a daily basis can help them build wealth over time. And they understand that. So the younger they are, the better off they're going to be compared to you and I, right? Because they just have more time on their hands. But also not just with the kids, right? It's about the broader Equity Now community
Okay.
that I'm serving.
Yep.
Right? So that's community-based organizations, that's faith-based organizations. Building out a curriculum to be transported across the country, right? To be used in schools, right? Especially Black and brown schools, because that's where it needs to be, right? Financial literacy in and of itself in America is a dismal state.
No doubt.
It's dismal compared to other areas of the world. But,
and it's dismal for all races, but when you categorize and it comes down, it's worse, exponentially worse.
Who's at the bottom?
But for us.
For us,
folks
right?
who look like you and I.
We've always been at the bottom, right? So it's up to me.
Yeah.
I can't do it alone, but I'm going to say, you know what? If I can have 700 kids, 800 kids have investment accounts, that's the win.
No doubt.
If I can reach parents, if I can reach grandmoms and say, hey, listen, let's go through some personal financial management strategies to help you, manage your money better. That's the win.
That's what I'm talking
right? So if I can reach 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 people and give them the resources that they can use and then be able to measure and assess their progress as they go along.
Absolutely.
Like you said, what gets measured, makes progress. So I want to see, you started here, where are you a year from now?
No doubt.
Did you grow?
No doubt.
Or did you regress?
No doubt.
So that's what I want to see.
Dope. So as we close, family, listen, man, what Mr. Devose, what Justin is doing is crazy. And I'm going to keep challenging these guests. So expediting change, what he's doing to expedite change is where the rubber meets the road, teaching financial education, not just financial literacy, because they are actually opening up stock accounts. And that's his unit of measure, stock accounts. Because when you talk educate, when you talk expediting change, we got to make sure we have a unit of measure to make sure the culture is progressing. So what I hear from Justin is that he's doing his part to break down that generational wealth gap. Tune in to Expediting Change to hear more, to learn more about what the things that we're doing, the things that Justin are doing, that all of our guests are doing. And I'm going to keep pushing and pressing for financial education over financial literacy, because the time is now for the culture, for us, for you, for everybody to get to the bag. Peace. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks for having me.
It's just me. As I open my mind and try to reach yours, ask myself, why is it you really want to preach, boy? I want to teach more.